The phone was face down on the cenotaph's granite ledge, screen cracked in a spiderweb pattern that caught the afternoon light. I picked it up without thinking, force of habit from years working lost property at the transport hub. My shift had ended 20 minutes earlier, and I'd cut through the Memorial Gardens because the main road was gridlocked with marathon barriers. The phone was still warm. Battery at 43%. No lock screen. I should have taken it straight to the police station 2 streets over, but the gallery app was already open when I woke the screen. The first photo showed the cenotaph itself, same angle I was standing at but taken at dusk. Purple sky, empty benches. The second photo, closer, focused on the wreaths at the base. The third, a close-up of one particular poppy wreath, the card readable, for James Mitchell, 1995 to 2019, never forgotten. I knew that name. Everyone in town did. James Mitchell had been found in the canal 4 years ago, during the winter flooding. The inquest called it accidental death drunk, slipped on the towpath, drowned before anyone found him. His mum still laid a wreath here every November. The fourth photo made my stomach drop. Same wreath, same card, but someone's hand was in frame now, gloved, pulling the card free. The fifth, that same gloved hand holding the card up to the camera, James Mitchell's name clearly visible. The sixth, a different memorial. I recognized it immediately, Sarah Chen's bench near the leisure center, installed after she died in that hit and run 2 years back. Someone had photographed her plaque, then photographed themselves touching it with those same black gloves. I scrolled faster. 15 photos total, all memorials around town, all recent timestamps from the past week. The last 5 were different. They showed a house, suburban street, red door, white van in the driveway. The final photo was taken through a ground floor window. A woman at a kitchen table, gray hair, mug in hand, completely unaware. I recognized her. James Mitchell's mother. I'd processed her bus pass renewal 3 months ago. My hands were shaking. I looked around the gardens. Tuesday afternoon, off-season cold, the place was nearly empty. An elderly man walking a terrier near the gates. 2 teenagers on the far bench, vaping. No one paying attention to me. I should have called 999 right then. But the phone buzzed in my hand. A text message. Incoming. No name. Just a number. Found my phone. Another buzz. Before I could react. Stay there. I looked up sharply. The elderly man was gone. The teenagers were leaving through the east gate. The gardens were empty now except for me, standing alone at the cenotaph with someone else's phone in my hand. I started walking. Fast, not running. Running draws attention, and the town center was only 2 minutes away. I could get to the police station, hand everything over, let them deal with it. My heart was hammering. The phone buzzed again. I can see you. I stopped, spun around. The gardens were still empty. The only movement was branches shifting in the wind, the only sound the distant hum of the marathon crowd 3 streets over. But the Memorial Gardens had CCTV. I'd seen the signs. Whoever sent that text could be watching the feed, or they could be lying, trying to panic me. Another buzz. Wrong direction. Police station's closed for renovations. Didn't you see the signs? I hadn't. I'd been cutting through here for weeks, but I'd never walked past the station entrance on a Tuesday. I pulled out my own phone, Googled it. The search result confirmed it. Closed for 2 weeks, structural repairs, all services redirected to the main station 4 miles away. My phone buzzed now, my actual phone, in my other hand. Unknown number. Same one that had texted the phone I was holding. You work lost property. Emma Griffiths, 34. Flat above the newsagent on Mill Street. You walk home this way every Tuesday and Thursday when your shift ends at 3. I felt cold spread through my chest. The garden suddenly felt enormous and exposed. The cenotaph behind me, the empty paths, the locked toilet block to my left. The gates were open, but the streets beyond were maze quiet. Everyone diverted for the marathon. Another text on my phone. James Mitchell didn't slip. Sarah Chen wasn't an accident. Check the metadata on photo 9. I didn't want to look. I looked anyway. Opened the photo details on the stranger's phone. Photo 9 was the one of Sarah Chen's bench. The metadata showed GPS coordinates, timestamp, and something else, a file name. sc_confession_draft.jpg. I scrolled back through the photos with new eyes. Each memorial had been photographed twice, once normally, once with the gloved hand deliberately in frame. This wasn't a stalker's trophy collection. It was staged. Someone documenting something, building a file. My phone again. Someone's been covering up deaths in this town for 3 years. I've been gathering proof. You're holding half of it. The other half is on a USB drive inside the wreath you're standing next to. The poppy one. James Mitchell's. I turned. The wreaths were exactly where they'd been. Recent, rain-damaged. The poppy one slightly larger than the others. Another text. Take the drive. Take the phone. There's a journalist at the Beacon who'll listen. Her name's in the contacts under verify. But you need to move now. The person in the photos works for the council. He's been monitoring the CCTV feeds all week. He knows you picked up the phone. He's 3 minutes away. I heard an engine then. Close. The car parked behind the public toilets, the one that backed onto the gardens. A door slammed. I ran to the wreaths. Knelt. Pulled the poppy wreath aside, hands clumsy, and found it a small USB drive wrapped in plastic, tucked inside the flowers. I grabbed it, shoved both phones in my jacket pockets, and ran. Not toward the gates, toward the gap in the hedge near the canal path, the one the council never fixed. I squeezed through, thorns catching my sleeve, and emerged onto the towpath. The marathon barriers forced me east, away from town, toward the industrial estate. I didn't stop until I reached the 24-hour petrol station a mile out. Fluorescent lights, security cameras, witnesses. I locked myself in the toilets and finally called 999. They took my statement, collected the phones and the drive, told me they'd follow up. That was 6 days ago. I haven't been back to work. I've been staying at my sister's place in the next town. This morning, I got an email from someone claiming to be the journalist Verify from the contacts list. She said the USB drive contained evidence that a former town councilor had been systematically covering up suspicious deaths tied to a construction firm he part-owned. She said the police had made arrests. She also said the person who left that phone at the cenotaph was James Mitchell's younger brother. He'd been investigating for 2 years. He disappeared 4 days ago. I keep thinking about those gloved hands in the photos, about how carefully they documented everything, about how someone knew exactly where I'd be, and when. The journalist asked if I'd go on record. I haven't answered yet, but I keep checking the memorial gardens on Google Street View, the archive from last year. In the background of one image, barely visible, there's a man standing near the cenotaph. He's wearing black gloves. The fireworks had stopped 20 minutes ago. My phone showed 11:47, but the Maps app kept spinning, unable to find a route. We'd taken what I thought was a shortcut through the industrial estate, me, Sarah, and her boyfriend Mark trying to beat the crowds leaving the bonfire night party at the rugby club. Now we stood in a loading bay between 2 identical warehouses, and I couldn't remember which direction we'd come from. Sarah was already annoyed. She'd wanted to stay for the last drink. Mark had work at 6. I'd been the one pushing to leave early, worried about the train times. The estate should have been empty on a Saturday night, but someone had been following us for the past 5 minutes. Not close, just there, a figure in high vis, maybe 50 meters back, walking when we walked, stopping when we stopped. Probably just security, Mark said, but he didn't sound convinced. We turned left at the next junction. The road narrowed between corrugated metal walls. Sodium lights cast everything in sickly orange. My boots crunched on broken glass. Sarah's breath came faster beside me. When I glanced back, the figure had closed the distance, 30 meters now. I could see the vest clearly, the kind contractors wear, reflective stripes catching the light. But the face stayed in shadow. "Walk faster," I said. We did. So did they. The estate was a maze. Every turn looked identical, loading docks, roller shutters, bins overflowing with cardboard. We passed a fence with a gap torn in the chain link, weeds pushing through cracked tarmac. My phone was useless, no signal, and the battery had dropped to 12%. Mark tried his, same. There, Sarah pointed. A main road, maybe 200 meters ahead. I could see headlights moving. Relief flooded through me. Then the high-vis figure stepped out from behind a skip, directly in our path. Not behind us anymore. Ahead, we stopped. Mark swore under his breath. The figure stood motionless, close enough now that I should have been able to see features, but the vest sat wrong somehow, too big, hanging off narrow shoulders. The arms hung at odd angles. In one hand, something metallic glinted. A torch, I thought, or hoped. Evening. The voice was flat. Male, I thought, but muffled. "You're not supposed to be here. We're just leaving," Mark said. He stepped slightly in front of Sarah. Took a wrong turn. "That right?" The figure tilted his head. "Funny thing. I've been watching you. Saw you come in 40 minutes ago. Saw you walk past the exit twice. Almost like you're looking for something." "We're lost," I said. "That's all." "Lost." He repeated it slowly. "You know what we do to trespassers here? Company policy. Very strict." My heart hammered. This wasn't security. Security didn't talk like that. Didn't stand like that. Weight shifting from foot to foot. Eager. "We'll go back the way we came," Sarah said, voice tight. "Too late for that." He raised the metal object. Not a torch, a radio. But he didn't speak into it. Just held it up, like he wanted us to see it. "My colleagues are already on their way. They'll want to have a word, ask some questions." Mark grabbed my arm. "Run," he whispered. We bolted left, down a gap between buildings I hadn't noticed before. Footsteps pounded behind us, heavy boots on concrete. Sarah stumbled. Mark caught her. My lungs burned, smoke from the bonfire still coating my throat. The gap opened onto another loading area, this one with a half-open roller door. Light spilled from inside. Voices. I ducked through. Mark and Sarah followed. The warehouse was full of people, 20, maybe 30 of them, all wearing the same high-vis vests. They stood in a loose circle around a metal drum, flames licking up from inside it. The air stank of petrol and burnt plastic. Every face turned toward us. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. They just stared. Behind us, the roller door rattled down. The first figure stepped through before it closed. He pulled off the vest. Underneath, he wore normal clothes, jeans, hoodie. He was young, maybe 19. He grinned at the others. "Told you they'd come this way," he said. "Every time. They come this way." One of the others laughed. A woman, older, with bleached hair. She held up her phone. Got it all recorded. That bit where they ran was perfect. My stomach dropped. This was a game. We were the game. "What do you want?" Mark's voice shook. The young guy shrugged. "Entertainment. It's boring out here. You lot wander through every few months, thinking you found a shortcut. We just make it interesting. Let us go," Sarah said. "We will." He gestured to a door on the far side of the warehouse. "That leads to the main road. You can leave. But first, you have to do something for us." He pointed at the drum. Inside, I could see shapes melting plastic, rubber, something that might have been fabric. The flames threw shadows across the concrete floor, writhing and twisting. "Put something in," he said. "Anything you've got. Phone, wallet, jacket. Doesn't matter. Just something that matters to you." The circle tightened around us. Not threatening, exactly. Just present. Blocking the way out. Mark pulled out his wallet, threw it in. The flames surged. Someone cheered. Sarah took off her necklace, a silver chain her grandmother had given her. She hesitated, then dropped it in. More cheers. They all looked at me. I reached into my pocket. My house keys, my rail card, my phone. I thought about refusing. Thought about fighting. But there were too many of them, and we were too far from help. I pulled out the phone. The screen showed 11:53. 3 messages from my mom, asking if I'd got home safe. I dropped it into the drum. The flames crackled. The plastic casing bubbled and split. The young guy nodded toward the door. "You can go." We walked. Nobody stopped us. The door opened onto the main road. Cars passed, oblivious. The rugby club car park was visible in the distance, emptying out. Normal people going home. We didn't talk the whole way to the station. What was there to say? That we'd been hunted for sport by bored kids in an industrial estate? That they'd made us burn our own possessions like some twisted ritual? Who would believe it? I reported it the next day. The police took a statement, sent a patrol, found nothing. The warehouse was empty. No sign anyone had been there. No drum, no burnt plastic, just dust and pigeons. But I still have the video someone posted on TikTok. Anonymous account, deleted within hours. It shows 3 people running between warehouses, terrified, while someone behind the camera laughs. The caption read, "Bonfire Night Bonus Round." They always take the shortcut. The comments were full of people tagging their friends, saying they should try it next year. The council's consultation letter arrived 3 days after I gave my statement to the police. They wanted to install CCTV along the Towpath Community Safety Initiative, they called it. I knew better. Someone was covering tracks. I run the canal route every morning, 5:30, before my shift at the depot starts at 7. Same route for 2 years, same rhythm. The pre-dawn quiet suits me. No cyclists yet, no dog walkers. Just the occasional narrowboat chugging past with its running lights on. That Tuesday in March, fog sat thick over the water. Visibility maybe 20 feet. I almost turned back. I heard the splash before I saw anything. Not a duck or debris, something heavy hitting water. Then voices, low and urgent. Male, 2 of them, maybe 3. I slowed to a walk. Trainers quiet on the wet towpath. The fog shifted and I caught shapes ahead. A white van, back doors open, parked where the access road meets the path. No business being there at that hour. The bollards that usually block vehicle access were gone. One man stood at the canal edge, dark jacket, hood up. He bent and lifted something, a black bin bag, the heavy-duty kind. He swung it once, twice, then released. The splash echoed off the brick arches of the old railway bridge. Another man emerged from the van with 2 more bags. They worked quickly, methodically. I stopped breathing. I should have turned around, should have run back the way I came. But I stood there, phone in my pocket, watching, counting. 6 bags. 7. The fog was my only cover. If they looked up, if they walked 10 feet in my direction, they'd see me. My high-vis running vest might as well have been a beacon. The second man said something. His voice carried over the water, but I couldn't make out words. The first man laughed, a short, sharp sound that made my stomach clench. They both got back in the van. Doors slammed. Engine started. The van reversed along the access road, headlights cutting through the fog. I pressed myself against the canal side wall, behind a stack of old pallets someone had dumped. The van turned and disappeared. I waited 5 minutes. 10. My legs cramped, but I didn't move. When I finally stepped out, the towpath was empty. Just me and the canal and whatever they'd thrown in. The water was dark, opaque. Nothing visible below the surface. I pulled out my phone. Signal was weak this close to the bridge, but enough. I called 101, the non-emergency line, told them what I'd seen. The operator asked if I could identify the men. I said no. Asked for the van's registration. I hadn't thought to look. She took my details and said someone would call back. No one did. Not that day. Not the next. I kept running my route, but earlier now, 5 o'clock instead of 5:30. The bollards were back in place by Wednesday. On Thursday, I saw a police patrol car parked at the access road junction. 2 officers standing by the water, looking down. One was taking notes. I stopped, asked if they were investigating the incident I'd reported. The younger officer looked at me blankly. The older one checked his tablet, asked my name. Then he said they were following up on a separate matter, fly-tipping complaint from a local resident. Nothing about bags in the canal. Nothing about a van. I insisted I'd seen something. He asked if I'd taken photos. I hadn't. Asked if anyone else had been present. No. He made a note. Said they'd add it to the file. His tone suggested I was wasting his time. The younger officer was already walking back to the car. Friday morning, the van was back. Different time, 6 o'clock, not 5:30. I saw it from 100 yards away. Same white panel van, parked in the same spot. The bollards were down again. This time I stayed hidden, crouched behind the hedge that borders the allotments. I got my phone out, set it to video, zoomed in as much as the camera allowed. The quality was terrible in the dim light, but I captured the registration plate, captured two men lifting bags from the back, captured the splashes. I sent the video to 101 immediately. Got a reference number. Felt something like relief. The response came Monday afternoon. An email from a Detective Constable Marsh. He thanked me for my vigilance. Said they'd reviewed the footage and identified the vehicle as belonging to a legitimate environmental services contractor. The bags contained silt and sediment samples from a drainage survey. Everything above board, properly licensed. The council had hired them for infrastructure assessment ahead of the towpath improvement works. He apologized for any confusion and assured me there was no cause for concern. I read the email 3 times. Opened the video I'd sent. Watched those bags hit the water. Silt and sediment, properly licensed. The detective's tone was polite, final. Case closed. Tuesday morning I found a note under my windscreen wiper. Plain paper, printed text. Mind your own business. No signature. I took it inside, photographed it, sent it to DC Marsh. He replied within an hour. Probably just kids, he said. Local teenagers messing about. If it happened again, I should report it to the Safer Neighborhoods team. Different department. I stopped running the canal route after that. Started using the main road instead, even though it adds 20 minutes, and the traffic noise makes it impossible to think. I don't pass the towpath anymore. Don't look at the water. Last week, the council's consultation letter arrived. Public meeting scheduled for next month to discuss the new CCTV installation. They want community input on camera placement, monitoring protocols, data retention. The letter emphasized transparency, accountability, community safety. I won't be attending. But I keep thinking about those bags, about how quickly the bollards reappeared, about the contractor who works in pre-dawn fog and the detective who closed the case in under 72 hours, about the note on my windscreen. The cameras will go up soon. They'll cover the towpath, the access roads, the bridges, every inch recorded, archived, monitored, and I'll never know if they're meant to catch the next person dumping bags in the canal or the next person watching.